And then on Friday, I'm listening to NPR's Planet Money podcast, The Indicator, and they flat out basically say, oh, the AICPA is open to getting rid of the 150-hour rule. And I was like, I almost crashed the car. I'm like, where did this come from? So on Monday or Tuesday of last week, the National Pipeline Advisory Group released their draft strategy report. And overall, the high-level summary, Blake, wow, they addressed every one of Blake's concerns about the future of accounting, up and down, left and right, and came up with proposed solutions. Arguably, they could have done this just by listening to the podcast and pulling from our show.
Taking our recommendations?
And making our recommendations. But they wound up, well, what they did is it was two reports. There's an executive summary and a draft report.
Yeah, which one do you want me to pull up right now?
Pull up the draft report.
Okay.
The actual draft strategy report. And while you're doing that, just high level, they surveyed more than 7,800 students and accounting professionals, including students that did not major in accounting, right? And then they had about 1,600 people who participated in many focus groups.
So they surveyed students who are not majoring in accounting.
Correct. Okay. And they used a lot of other studies. So in this report, it cites lots of studies we've talked about on the show before, right? Where it's the 150-hour rule, it's this, it's the busy work, right? Things you just even spoke about just now, right? They spoke about a lot of that. So we'll just kind of run through kind of what's in the report. So pages 1 to 8 is just a repeat of the executive summary.
Okay.
Right. And they broke, if you scroll up a little bit, they broke this down into themes right there. And so these 6 themes are kind of the big chunks we'll talk about a little bit as this goes on.
I noticed that theme number 1 is the one that the AICPA loves to focus on, which is telling a more compelling story.
Yes.
They always seem to lead with, we need to tell a better story about accounting, that accounting is a great career. And
then they identify 7 stages of the accounting pipeline. So you have like middle school through high school, college graduation, preparing and passing the exam, getting licensed as CPA, and employment 1 to 5 years, employment 6+ years, and then later stage career to retirement. They really only want to focus on those first 5, right? So they're not going to focus on 6+ year people or late stage career to retirement, right? That was really what they focused in on.
Right, beginning of the pipeline.
So pages 15 to 24 is a little bit more background. They bring up the factors that are causing the shortage. A lot of these we've discussed to death on this show before. And they're talking about how, in general, students are opting out of a bachelor's degree. There's a changing U.S. labor market. And one of the stats I thought was interesting, only 1 in 9 business majors chooses accounting. And then they start the funnel from there. And then, well, of that 1 in 9, some won't even get a bachelor's degree at all. They won't do accounting. They'll go on to the degree level. They won't sit for the exam. First, even less will pass it. So you see how it trickles down to nothing at the end of the funnel. They also talked about it's a global issue. 28 of 33 accounting bodies around the world believe there's a shortage, right? They also talk about immigration. Ultimately, there's just 1.65 million less working bodies available in the U.S. market right now. Like we just don't have bodies to do the work. And then they have a thing on impact of technology and AI. And I think they just put that in there because everybody puts AI into everything these days. So you can just skip the AI part. It's a stupid paragraph. And then page 25 is a transition to the themes. And so now we get into those themes. So theme 1 is pages 26 to 34.
Can I just stop you? Because I was scrolling through and I saw this chart here. Reasons for not choosing accounting as a major. So this is the survey of students that considered accounting but chose not to pursue the major. And the additional 30 credit hours required post-bachelor's degree to qualify for CPA licensure among, with lagging salaries, top the list. So let's look here. You can see this if you're on YouTube with us right now. The top reason, which got 70%. So there's like a major reason and part of reason, and you add those together, and you get 70%. Lack of interest / passion. I think that's fair. And also, I don't think we're going to change that, right? Like you either like accounting or you don't. I suppose if you had a better teacher in principles of accounting, maybe like that could get you hooked better. But also like accounting is accounting and some people are going to like it and some people are going to hate it, right? So the second one here is higher salary with other major. And that's like the big issue, right? We saw that with the Illinois Society report. We see that with this report.
And this was not their data. This is actually another study that was done. So they quoted a lot of these existing studies that we've talked about in the past, probably this one as well.
But check this out. So this is where this report diverges from the Illinois CPA Society is didn't want to pursue 150 hours for CPA. That's 57% of the respondents. For 57% of them, that was either the major reason or part of the reason. And for 28%, it was the major reason.
Yeah.
So think about that. If 100 students start in accounting, 28 of, or considered accounting, 28 of those 100, the 150 was the major reason they didn't pursue accounting.
Yeah, those 8 out of 9 or 7 out of 8, depending on the number, that are not pursuing, they're business majors but not pursuing an accounting degree.
Yeah.
A good chunk of them, it's because of the 150.
And 52%, it's can't afford it. Yeah. Right. So 25% said it was a major reason that they can't afford it, and 28% said it was a major reason that they just didn't want to do it. It's like, that's meaningful. That's huge. The extra education has a cost. It turns away accounting majors and they major in other business subjects. Hard stop. Everyone needs to stop saying that it's not 150, because it is. All right. Sorry, David. I just had to point that out.
And yeah, so, and this is what's great, because like your soapbox, like I kid you not, has been addressed by this. I was going through this whole doc and I'm like, wow, they caught all of Blake's things. Now, Blake's going to make fun of some of it, some of their solutions, but they've addressed them at a high level. So again,
you were, I derailed you and you were on page 28.
26 to 34, right?
Okay.
It's the theme of telling a more compelling story.
Okay. And
the reason they think this is important and this is really urgent, because this will help halt the erosion, right, that's happening of people eroding and not wanting to do this. They think people need to stress less tax and audit, stress that accountants provide value in society, stress the non-balance sheet and profit and loss task, all the other things accountants can do, financial crimes, taxpayer interest, nonprofits, right? They've come to the conclusion outdated messages are no longer resonating. In K through 12, they want to do more programs, gamification. They want to make a navigator app to help people navigate their accounting career in the exam solutions, right, as a front door. Now, I do question whether they say that this was the highest ranking exam-related solution, which was kind of interesting, because I could see this highest? Navigator app, building a navigator app. I just see this not actually being a solution, but they'll build it
navigate
anyways.
What?
Your career as an accountant in the CPA exam and all that type of stuff.
I think definitely for like getting licensed, having one place to go where you can actually see exactly what you have to do to get licensed would be great, because I had to build my own spreadsheet. To figure out what courses I needed to take.
All right, well, maybe that then I believe it then. I think maybe that was their highest survey result. The other thing they've done, I'm going to paste the link in here, is they want everybody in the industry to take the pipeline pledge. And this is the part I think you'll make fun of a little bit, but they want you to participate in 2 activities of your choosing that have the potential to grow and influence the talent pool. And basically, it's a lead form. You just go in and put your contact information in. If you click the link, you'll see it.
So like we're going to do, you're pledging to do 2 outreach or growth activities of your choosing annually that have the potential to influence and grow the talent pool.
Yeah. So you go speak at Career Day. Maybe you create a podcast. I don't know, making this up. So this is the tell a compelling story. I know you kind of hate this one, but that's one of the things like, hey, industry, help us out here. Right? That's one.
Yeah.
The second one, and we've talked about this on the show, pages 35 to 40, theme number 2, make the academic experience more engaging. Only 1 of 3 business majors not pursuing accounting. So basically, if you find 3 people not pursuing accounting, only one's going to say that they found the content interesting. The other 2 are like, accounting is boring. I hated it.
Right.
So the content's not interesting. Tie more of accounting to entrepreneurship and technology, right? That would make a lot of sense. Have your best, most engaging instructors do the accounting 101 classes. Right?
Yes.
Maybe don't start with debits and credits right away. Maybe debits and credits are way late in the semester. Right. So people get all this other exposure to the accounting, everything, and then debits and credits are a piece of that. And then put real life practitioners in the classroom. No more.
Yes. So that to me is how you make accounting real and interesting, is stop with so much theory and get to the application of it sooner. And a lot of programs never get to the application of accounting. I didn't do any real accounting in my courses when I went back to school. And the only way I learned it was by doing it in real life. So I had the benefit of working and learning at the same time, running my own bookkeeping business. And I really wish more programs would actually teach accounting in the context of like, let's do the books for a real business in the community. And you're going to learn how to actually post the transactions and run the reports and do the invoicing. And that's when it's kind of fun.
It's the real job of accounting.
Yes.
Exactly.
And not just all this T accounts and, theoretical stuff going on. I mean, you could do it with simulations too. But yeah, that would help a lot.
So pages 41 to 53 is theme.
God, how long is this report?
80 pages.
Okay.
So, theme number 3 is addressing the time and cost of education, AKA the 150-hour rule. And so which is in testament to this group, this committee, they really did. I know they spoke to spoke, no stones were unturned, everything's on the table. They really did do that, Blake. So they quoted all these external surveys basically showing how the 150-hour rule caused people not to major in accounting, right? And then they kind of started...
And especially the one I want to highlight, a 14% decline, 14 to 26% decline in CPAs due to the 150-hour rule. Yeah. That was a study at MIT Sloan. And it was 26% for minority CPAs. So for all that these state societies and the AICPA talk about needing to improve diversity in the profession, if they actually wanted to do it, this is the way to do it.
And this hurt diversity the most. That
actually
the numbers
exactly.
are worse on the 150.
Yeah, because guess what? People with less financial means and family support, which tends to be more the case in minority communities, they're the ones who are hurt the most by 150.
And they thought about this really well, and they agree. They want to get rid of 150-hour rule, and they've thought about it to some way. Also future-proof it a little bit. One of the things they said, you can't count hours anymore at all because there's some universities now that might start issuing bachelor degrees with just 90 hours. Now what? Right? Yeah. Now this whole thing's, you can't just move it back to 120. So they have 3 recommendations, like a today recommendation, a near term, and a long term. So today they want to just make it cheaper as fast as possible with like earn and learn type programs. Right. And
that's the one where you work at a firm and you take online courses and you get your 30 hours.
They work with the university to get credits because they're still on a transcript.
Right.
The next milestone or near term is to get learning off the transcript. Take colleges out of it. Employers do the training like we're seeing with pilots in the airlines. Right. Mm-hmm. You just take college out of it. No more transcript. Long term doesn't exist at all. Competency-based licensure. Basically, the exam is the milestone. That's it.
Well, the simple thing would be just require a bachelor's degree from an accredited university, educational institution, no mention of how many hours it took you to earn that. So that way, if a college offers a 3-year bachelor's, you can use it. And the exam. And make the exam really rigorous. And there's this is the thing I love about this report. They actually say we need to move away from an inputs-based, hours-based education model.
And they even suggested that giving college credits for your transcripts for taking the review courses. Like they've really went out of the box on this. It's shockingly how they got off the standard company line to put in this report. There is some concern that 59% of the people on the survey still think that it could have a negative effect in reputation on the profession, but 69% say that changes should occur. So like overwhelming, because you've been saying this for a long time, survey your members, and it's 70%.
So the state societies have surveyed their members, and they find 80% want to change. So this is closer to 2/3. Wait, what was it? How many say there should be a change? 69?
69%.
Yeah,
so should be a change.
So call it 70% of AICPA members, which is includes more of the big 4 firms, right? So that's actually that's enough to get a constitutional amendment passed,
and the other
right, David?
And the other crazy thing about this, their argument's always been about mobility. So they had their national pipeline survey. So this is from their data. So they had a question, true or false question. A CPA license in one state jurisdiction allows you to participate in person and remotely across all states and jurisdictions. True or false? I'm asking you, Blake, true or false?
Well, the people who support like
Well, currently
mobility,
this is true, right?
well, theoretically, yes.
Yes. 58% say it's false. So CPAs don't even know mobility exists. So they're
Well,
trying to make
the reason is that we have this thing called mobility, but what we don't have is reciprocity.
yes.
And the reason that most CPAs don't value mobility is because mobility doesn't actually help you when you move physically from one state to another. Like if I relocate back to California, now that I'm an Arizona CPA, California doesn't recognize my CPA license in Arizona, and will tell me, and they do this to people. Will see that I'm in California and say, no, you need to get licensed in California now.
Yeah.
So mobility is actually very, very limited. It just allows you as a CPA in your state to serve clients outside of your state without getting in trouble with that board of accountancy. But it doesn't actually help you move around the country.
Yeah. Which ultimately that needs to exist, right?
Right. Like, so mobility is this whole excuse that we can't do things because of mobility is just, in my opinion, it's just this small little segment of audit, right? Yeah. They want it so that they don't have to go hire people in all these different states. But my answer is, look, you can solve for it. Just hire people and let them work remotely. So if you're in Arizona and you want to serve California clients, just hire some CPAs that live in California and are licensed in California and put them on the audits. It's not hard to do it anymore. Like, the whole reason mobility was created is because it used to be a big hassle to do that, right? Nobody had remote work 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. So you needed mobility because you needed your Arizona CPAs to do those New Mexico audits or California
Travel
audits.
Around,
yeah. But now the firms can just hire people anywhere. So there's your solution.
Yeah. Let me hammer through the last four themes. Because again, so 53 to 59 is theme 4, increased support for CPA exam candidates. And so they want people to be able to take the exam while they're still completing their coursework, which would make sense. I mentioned before, college prep courses or test prep courses count towards college credits. Employers should need to share best practices, easier workload when studying, exam paid for, bonuses for passing, right? They want some of the things you've hammered on even as recent of a week ago, faster exam score releases, right? That needs to happen. Maybe there's a cloud-based exam data warehouse, right? So that way people get their scores the next day instead of waiting, whatever, it's up to 20 days, if not longer for a lot of people. Theme 5, pages 60 to 67, prioritize strategies to expand access for underrepresented groups. It feels like the section was in there, but it just feels like a weak section because a lot of it is all the other things they do above is going to definitely help diversity, but they definitely call out that they want to do more with HBCUs, increase financial assistance, make sure the exam doesn't have bias in it, and that's all going to help. And they have a strong goal. The goal is to have each cohort of accounting degrees to have a higher diversity ratio than the respective ratios of the U.S. population. So they want to consciously tip the scale in accounting the other direction. And then theme 6 is, you just were talking about this, enhance employee experience by evolving business models and cultures, increasing salaries, making firms the employer of choice, less hours, mental health, remote hybrid, right? Trim client-based, increased capacity, all the things we've talked about on the show, things you know about. But that's surprisingly, everything that we've ever talked about on the show, they've covered in this survey, and they came to the right conclusions. I'm so glad this doesn't feel like the typical mouthpiece political stuff coming out, considering this is NASBA, AICPA, big firms who all worked on this pipeline.